right. So what else you been up to, bro?
Well, I think too we can just double back to the 284 UFC on Saturday. Islam
Oh,
and Volk. What
dude,
were
yes.
what were your just kind of like initial thoughts and takes on the fight?
So immediately while watching the fight, like we get into the first round, like holding my breath because kind of I think everybody's expecting Makhachev's just gonna come out and he's just gonna fucking take him to the ground.
Dan Hooker him,
He's
yeah.
gonna go straight up Khabib on him, right, and just
Yep.
start mauling him. And immediately within that first round, like you can start to see Volkanovski's like can definitely hang with him. He gets taken
Yep.
down and gets his back taken, but then he was able to defend the choke, and so coming out of the first round, I'm like, you know what, dude? Like Volk's in this fight right now. Volk's definitely in this fight. And then after the second round, and in my opinion, he definitely won the second. Like there was no question about
Yes.
that.
Yes.
I was like, holy crap, this is not looking nearly as good as everyone expected for Makhachev, and Volkanovski looks way better than anybody thought. And like going throughout the fight, I had Volk winning 3 of the rounds. I had him winning the second, the third, and the fifth.
Yes.
And even in the fourth round, he gets taken down. Makhachev takes his back right, throws on that body triangle. But
And
he
Laser
just held him
just
there.
hung on.
He just
Yeah.
held him there, and he's getting hit in the
Yeah.
face. Volkanovski's repeatedly just ground and pound, hitting him in the face, even though
Yeah, it kind of had the shoulder turn. It was
Right.
doing that like over the shoulder little upcut punch.
yeah,
kinda thing,
and I mean, he probably hit.
yelling at his corner. You saw him too. He's like
Yeah.
yelling at his corner. He's like, he just wants to lay here. Come the fuck on. Or
Yeah,
whatever he's
yeah.
saying.
I mean, how many punches did Volkanovski throw in that compared to how many strikes Makhachev landed? Like, I would have bet it was like 50-5. Like 50 for
Yeah, dude,
Volkanovski to 5
and
for
even in some
Makhachev.
other rounds too, Volkanovski was getting in some ground and pound as well. So like, I bet you overall that Volkanovski probably had more ground strikes than Islam did in the entire fight.
Oh, he absolutely did. He absolutely did. Anytime Makhachev took him down, he wasn't really striking. He was just trying to grapple and
Yeah,
control position.
and that's why I think I feel like one thing that could benefit the UFC is to kind of like, because we were talking about it on chat, and I wanted to know your thoughts about it. Is the rule set too subjective? Meaning that the first thing they score everything with in the UFC fights is effective striking and effective grappling.
Right.
Is that subjective? Like, could one judge think effective grappling is a different, is control time, and then one judge might think effective grappling is ground and pound or submission attempts? Like, are these rule sets too subjective? So when you get judges from different athletic associations, commissions, different, geographical locations, do you think they're going to interpret that effectiveness differently?
Yeah, because everybody has their bias. Like if they over a guy with a background in wrestling, they're gonna give it
Yep.
way more to anybody who was a wrestler over like striking. Like everybody's got a bias, right? That's one of the reasons I really don't actually enjoy, like competing in judges that are sports that are decided by judges. That I've never
Yeah.
liked that. I like it to be like cut and dry on who won and who lost, right? And I think
Points, yeah.
that's the biggest contention for most people out there with like any fighting, right? It's always the talk about these judges got it wrong in this fight.
Someone got robbed, right?
yeah.
And that comes up so much, especially I'd say, I mean, it's been part of fighting since fighting's been around. But I would say that maybe over the past year or so, I feel like the UFC has definitely got a big spotlight on it with a lot of,
Right.
debatable decisions. And
Right.
I can't help but wonder if they maybe kind of changed the wording a little bit, or maybe said, maybe made that rule set a little bit more distinctive, that we would hopefully see less, debatable decisions, and we'd see
Right.
more like, okay, that was the right one.
Uh-huh. I really like the thing that they put in wasn't too long ago where they said that like a takedown is just a change in position, and what really matters is like what the person does with it. And I really
Yes.
think that idea needs to be done with every form of grappling, like in the fight.
I could agree.
It's not just okay, this guy it's not just okay, a takedown happened. It's not just the guy has the other dude's back. It needs to be what did they do with taking the person's back? Because really, it was just that was like the thing in the fourth round where you're looking at that. It's like, okay, yeah, Makhachev has him in a body triangle from behind, which if you purely judge it just off of the position, Makhachev is in the winning position, right? Like,
Yes.
that's a bad position that you don't want to be in.
Yeah.
However, Volkanovski just hit the dude 50 times in the face, unanswered to 5, and Makhachev couldn't do anything when it comes to a grappling submission against him. So who really won that position? In my eyes, Volkanovski wins that position. It's like, I don't. Who,
Yeah.
Play that out. Play that out for an hour, right? Let's say Makhachev has him an hour for there, right, in that body triangle,
spot, yeah.
and now he's been punched 1,000 times in the face while he's just trying to hold Volkanovski there. Like, he's gonna lose that. Like, that's not.
Yeah, you can't. Yeah, exactly.
That's not something that that's a losing position. Just play out the time longer. You can figure out who's winning and losing, right?
Yes.
So yeah,
And I think if you had different judges there, that probably, like, if you take the judges from the O'Malley Jan fight,
right,
Volkanovski might have won.
yeah,
You know, because that's kind of what happened in that fight too.
Fighting, bro.
Piotr Jan took him down a couple times and didn't really do much with it. Kind of just laid on him, maybe getting his bell unrung or just trying to get some stamina back. But yeah, then you saw O'Malley ends up getting the decision, even though Jan had takedowns and control time. So
Right.
it is interesting to see that. And like you said, that's just kind of like how it goes in fighting. But you think we'll ever get I don't know. You think would the UFC change that wording, or do you think they'll probably just try to add more to it like they have with the wording?
I don't know if the wording even matters. Like, I really wonder in the fights with the judges if they like really even take that into account. You know, they might know the rules and everything behind it, but like at the end of the day, they're like, you know, wow, I think this guy won that round, so I'm gonna put he has a 10-9. Like, even regardless, I don't know how much that even matters. And
yeah, maybe I'm overthinking. Maybe I'm like, I'm here sitting like the judges are like, okay,
yeah,
what's the first criterion? Okay,
exactly.
effective striking. Okay, and you're right. They're
I don't
probably
think
like,
these
well, I've been doing
guys
this
are
for 20
even
years.
like that, dude. Yeah, I don't
exactly. They're just like, oh, 10-9. Yeah, that's what I think there. Boom.
Yeah, I don't think they're even like that. I don't think that's going into their head when they're making these decisions.
I'm giving them way too much credit. Of
I think
over
so.
Here, you know?
I think so. I think that's part of the problem. And you know, there's definitely an issue, right? I mean, everybody knows there's an issue with the judging. And it's like, when are they going to actually change it up? Like, they got to figure out a way to make it better. And I don't know what that is. And
that's the hard part, right? How do they make it better? Yeah.
I mean, I think the biggest problem is the people judging the fights. Like, I think that may be the biggest problem. You really need some people that were better judges in there.
Dude, I've looked into it. It's funny you say that because I've even like thought about it. Just random Google search one night when I was like on my phone. I was like, what does it take to become like an MMA judge? And like, more or less, it's kind of similar to like the way that you do it with the refereeing. Like you more or less like start doing it more on like small promotions or locally,
right?
And then I guess over time, if you're like in a state, like obviously like it's probably more attractive to get that certification in Vegas or Nevada, rather, should I say, because a lot of fights happen in Nevada. Like I don't know if I was to go get it in Maryland, like there's a couple small promotions here, but I don't even think the UFC's ever had an event in Maryland. So like I don't even know if you'd ever have a chance to make it to judge one of those fights. But it does seem like that might follow that like old school style of system where people just get grandfathered in because a family member or a friend or somebody they knew was in that commission, and then a seat came up, we'll add something next of kin into this or something.
Right.
So it does seem like these guys are like fucking villains or something. They're like you don't know them, you never see pictures of them, you never see them at the fucking fights. Like they're like fucking hidden or something. So it's like it's funny when you think about it.
Shadow figures behind the scenes, bro.
For all we know, they're not even fucking real, right?
Yeah.
So it's funny when you think about that. These guys, they're like mysterious, and I'm like, why are the judges so mysterious? Like that's the most mysterious part of this whole MMA and the promotion and stuff. So I always thought that was funny too. And like you said, it probably does just come down to like getting that fresh generation of judges maybe that understands the MMA a little bit better or differently. Who the hell knows? But to roll this into the next thing on the Islam and Volk is, did you see all this stuff with the IV? And thoughts, comments?
I really don't know. I think the biggest problem with I'm sure you've seen the first thing with me was like randomly out of nowhere, Dan Hooker's just like going off.
Out on
he's going off on Twitter. I'm like
Flipping
trying to figure out what's going on, and then he's saying that he got an IV, right? And if I don't think Dan Hooker's the type of guy that's just gonna randomly start saying that out there. No, you know.
Nah, I agree.
And then what happened next is I seen the picture of his arm. Did you see his arm where he
Yeah, yeah, that
clearly
huge
has
bulge
an
there.
yeah he has
Yep.
clearly had gotten something
Something
an
in his
IV.
arm.
Yeah, he clearly got an IV in his arm. Something there. Um, and then I'd seen this after the fact, but Ali had
Yeah.
posted. He posted about that fighters are allowed to get an IV for like certain amount, like
and he was getting all like he was
getting
talking shit too. He's
defensive.
like, "You guys are stupid." Like
He's getting
fucking.
super defensive.
Yep.
And I seen Helwani was just like, well, this is just an obvious thing, like an admission.
Yeah, he's like
an admission that this happened, basically, right? Like,
and I think he deleted said tweet
he
as
did.
well
Because he realized
and I
afterwards.
saw
like,
the
how
Helwani
stupid that
tweet.
was.
Yeah. Ariel's like, dude, you're incriminating yourself a little bit, buddy. Like, you know, take it easy over there. And then to follow that up, I saw Ali tweets that this whole thing comes out. I saw Brett. Why do you say his name? Okamoto. I forget. Okamoto. There you go. Akamoto. Brett. He tweeted something out after the Dan Hooker tweets as well that kind of touched on that. You know, within a certain milliliters or whatever they measure it by is technically allowed if a physician or doctor says that it is medically needed because of how dehydrated they are.
Right.
So I guess that is technically in the rule set to some extent that there is some IV usage allowed. But to me, that just seems like one of those rules that's highly abusable. I mean, if you just look at somebody like Islam Makhachev, of course he's extremely dehydrated when he's making weight. He cuts a lot of weight. So he's always going to be eligible for this IV refuelment. Now, granted, maybe the milliliter amount isn't actually enough scientifically to give him any sort of an advantage, and I'm unaware of, that I'm uneducated when it comes to that.
I doubt
but I'm sure
the
to
case.
some extent it has to help, like rehydrating some amount via bloodstream, because as you know, like bloodstream is one of the most direct routes or ways to replenish or get something into your body. So to some extent, it also makes me feel like it has to matter. But then I saw somebody from Islam's camp say on Twitter that the Australian Athletic Commission drew blood the day before and like wanted to draw blood or something.
Okay,
like that.
so that
and I had never heard of that, so maybe that's where the IV came from. But then you get the UFC, they're kind of just like not saying anything about it. So it's everybody's just on social media like speculating about this Islam IV usage, and I feel like it's just creating this massive. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe
what's gonna happen,
right? I don't know.
These guys are gonna fight again at some point.
Yeah, and then I guess that was another question I was gonna spin it into. Like, does this create, what happens next? Like now we got Yair taking the interim belt from over Josh Emmett, and now Volkanovski here, who definitely feels like he beat Islam. I'm sure even feels more confident going into a rematch with Islam. Does he even want to return to featherweight? You think he goes for that double belt again, goes back, takes it from Yair, and then maybe comes back and fights Islam? Because even when you look at that fight with Islam, like, dude, even natural lightweights didn't even look as good as Volkanovski did.
Right.
So it makes me believe that Volkanovski can literally just go. He could go beat Islam, and then, dude, he could be the lightweight champ for years to come as well. So I guess it will be interesting to see what happens there, because he wants that one back.
Yeah, I would love to see. That'd be a crazy thing. Just before we move on to Yair, did you have Volkanovski winning?
I did have Volkanovski winning, but I also I get why Islam won, and that kind of just goes back to that original discussion of the judges and that the 49. First and foremost, it should have been a split decision. I think at the end of the day, I can't believe that there was a 49-46 for
that was absurd.
Islam. Right, like there's multiple rounds there where like it's really hard to give him 3 rounds. Like I could see a judge maybe being like, I'm torn. This round was very close, but to him get the 3 rounds like that, I did not agree with that. But I do understand how a judge, based on the rule set, could have made a case for him winning, because we've seen fighters win with control time before, and then we've seen fighters lose with control time before. So yeah, it's just, I guess like you said, it kind of I definitely think Volk won. I understand why they gave it to Islam, and I think in summary, I would just love to stop having to guess who's going to win or be
Right.
shocked when the freaking decision comes out because we
Right.
need some better freaking judging and rule set.
For sure. Okay, so Rodriguez versus Emmett, dude. Yair looked on fire. He looked absolutely on. He made it look like Emmett didn't even deserve to be in there. I feel like he was just destroying him the whole fight.
I like kind of felt that about Josh Emmett. Like, I think that Josh Emmett had one of those runs that, like, you know, like, I mean, it's hard to say because at the time he was juiced out of his mind on fucking steroids, but he had like a Johnny Hendricks run.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He's a big power puncher. He's athletic. He's got the mentality, but like I just don't think that he's championship caliber. And I feel like Yair kind of showed us that this past weekend, like you said, because Yair, everyone's always been like, dude, I think this guy is championship caliber, but he's always been hindered by low amount of fights or injuries. And then like it kind of seems like he kind of put it all together at the same time Josh Emmett did, and then we really saw like the levels of the champion status there, you know.
Wait, just before you, at what point do you think Emmett was geared up? You think it was like early
sorry,
on?
I didn't mean to. No, I didn't mean to make any confusions here. I do not think he was geared up.
Okay.
I was just using the.
I just because he's
like
jacked.
everybody thinks Johnny Hendricks was only good because he was juiced. Because if you look at his record after his violations, he was like 1-4, and he was like 5-0 before that when he like freaking who did he beat? Didn't he beat or didn't he knock down GSP or didn't he beat GSP? Something like that, right?
I think he did, right?
Yeah, for like the belt or something like that. He did something crazy against like a really great fighter. I think it was GSP. I could be wrong. And no, he lost to GSP in a decision, but he took it to him. He took it to him, and like I think a lot of people were like, that was like the John Jones Dominic Reyes fight, you know?
Right.
People were like, oh, maybe he lost. But anyways, yeah. Then after the violation, he just kind of went down bad. So yeah, no, not to make any confusion. I don't think Emmett was geared up. I just think that he went on a run, and we'll probably see it come to an end. But yeah, hey, I'll eat my words. I don't have any hate or dislike towards the guy. If he comes back and kills it, I'll give him all the respect in the world. But I think that might be the end of the Josh Emmett era.
Yeah, he's like a top guy, but I just can't really see him getting like over the hump and getting all the way to the belt.
Nah, yeah, he'll be that top 5 gatekeeper. Like anybody who's like maybe 6 to 15 who needs to get like a big fight in that featherweight division. Like they'll give it to probably give him Josh Emmett. Like I could see Billy Quarantillo maybe getting a fight like that, kind of like one of those like young upcomers in the featherweight division. Could maybe after coming off like a good win, I could see them getting him. And then he'll be like that gatekeeper style.
So how do you think he fares against Volkanovski?
Emmett?
Yeah. Oh no, Rodriguez.
Oh, Rodriguez. You know that. Man, it's so hard. He's like one of those fighters that's so hard to call. I mean, I think that Volkanovski is just a better fighter, like a well-rounded fighter. But like, dude, Yair's unpredictable style and just like extremely creative striking is always got to be something that you got to be worried about,
Right.
Because, I mean, you look at, like, the Korean Zombie knockout, like, 1 second left in the fight after just, like, a slugfest, and he throws some crazy elbow and, like, knocks him out. You know what I mean? Like, I just feel like he's very athletic. He's very explosive. He's very unpredictable. So I feel like whenever you fight a fighter like that, you never know what could happen. But we haven't seen Volk rock too much. So I think that Volkanovski probably weathers the storm and then just whittles him down, you know? Striking, takedown, trips, grappling, and then Yair would eventually just kind of, like that style fight. They start fading a little bit, maybe come round 3.
Yep. I also think Volk coming down like from coming back to 145 after 155, and like I bet he has actually more confidence than ever because in his head, I think he knows that he beat Makhachev, right? And so to him, it's going to be like, I'm going to go back down, defend my belt against Rodriguez, scorch this dude, right? And then I'm going back up to 155. And Volk always comes in with like a good game plan and whatnot, so I think he's going to probably be able to neutralize a lot of the weapons from Rodriguez. And just knowing that, Max was able to beat Yair.
Yes.
And that Volk, I mean, the 3 fights with Max, right? Volkanovski. Yes. So
I
think
know there's
it's
some discrepancy around one of those fights with Max, but I think after the third fight, everybody saw that.
Yep.
Like, you know, there's a clear victor here
Yep.
in this matchup. So I actually do love that analogy from you and agree too. That like
Mm-hmm.
if you follow the lineage in that division, and I think I saw a tweet or an interview. I think it was an MMA Hour or something with Volkanovski where he said it too. He's like, I'm double the fighter I was before this camp.
Yeah.
And exactly like you said, you know, you called it right. You hit the nail on the head with what you said there. Like what he learned, not only about himself, but also about, you know, what he's capable of and just so much there. Like I, without a doubt, just makes him better. He goes back down, reclaims the featherweight, goes back up, gets the double strap.
Mm-hmm.
You know, case closed kind of thing. I could definitely see that thing. And another funny thing is too, coming out of City Kickboxing, kind of different than what we're talking about, but I even saw that Adesanya came out with something that said that like he's got like 5 years max left in the UFC. And he like wants to go out on the tippity top. So you wouldn't even be surprised if he could beat Alex in this upcoming fight and get the belt back. Who knows what we'll see from like Adesanya even too, you know? But it's you know, it seems like City Kickboxing is they still got their eyes on the gold. It'll be interesting to see what they could what those both of them can pull off in these like upcoming rematches with some of these with like because they're both fighting incredible fighters, right? Like Pereira, you know, Makhachev, like they're fighting the best of the best.
Absolutely.
I will say I can't remember who it was, either John Anik or Helwani said something too. He was actually pretty critical on Makhachev. He said I could finally you know, speak on the fact everyone's always comparing Makhachev to Khabib, and like I think after that fight with Volkanovski, you can never compare Islam Makhachev to Khabib Nurmagomedov like ever again.
Yeah, I don't think
He's
so.
like, is Makhachev one of the best fighters on the planet right now? Active, yes, but is he Khabib? No. And he literally just went in and say, you never saw Khabib surviving in the fifth round, getting beat up by somebody who came up from a weight class, and also love to see he kept the number one pound for pound. I think that was 100% should have been the way that it went. And pretty much just to kind of close like that side of it, I saw that comment from, I can't remember who it was, one of those guys, and I was like, dang, that's so true, you know, because it really did look bad in that fifth round, like he was hanging on for dear life.
You know, like it's like you said, Makhachev's such a good fighter, but Khabib there's something mentally that Khabib had that I just don't think almost anybody else on this damn planet's type of thing that he's got, where he's just got like that insane dog level in him. You know what I mean? Like some people got some dog in him. Makhachev's got some dog in him, but Khabib he had some top dog in him when it came to that. His mentality behind things and whatnot. Like like you said, he wouldn't have been okay with just holding on to the back there. Like I mean, Khabib would have been. He's a different beast, man, when it came to that.
I think Khabib would have felt insulted that somebody would have tried to come up like that to take the double belt, and like you said, I think he would have done everything in his power to end that fight. You know, like he would have tried to stop that fight before going to the scorecard, without a doubt. I could definitely agree.
All right, so here's what I want to do. I want to jump ahead a little bit. UFC 285 main event.
Yes,
because it's coming up. It's less than a month away. Less than a month away.
Less than a month away.
March 4th, we got Jones and Cyril Gane.
Yeah, and dude, I just got to say, like, John Jones seems to be in a great headspace. I've seen some tweets, I've seen some comments, I've seen some interactions from him, and like, seems like he might have cleared the fog, cleared the toxic stuff a little bit, and might be thinking pretty clear, which
he's got you.
Good for Cyril Gane.
He's got you fooled, brother. He's got you. He absolutely. I don't think that's ever gonna be gone in this man. Ever.
John Jones, I think he's just doing the social media strut.
I bet there's some because he's getting older. I think he's probably getting older. Maybe he's gonna have some more like maturity as the age goes on. But,
sure.
But he's never losing. I think that's the thing that like is the thing behind why he's so good. Yeah, I think that's just in him, bro. Like he's always gonna be doing some wild, crazy, like out there stuff.
He does have that like kill or be killed mentality. So he loses that. Maybe he loses that spark of him.
I think that's kind of the thing with him, and I think Conor has that too. That's why you
Okay,
constantly
yeah.
see these guys always, like getting in trouble with something. Like there's always something new coming out every couple of years. You know what I mean? So you'll probably see Jones come back, and in my opinion, I think he's gonna destroy Gon. Um,
Yeah, it does. Like, I mean, it does look like in terms of game plan and just base style, it's not good for Cyril Gahn.
right. I seen something where Cyril had done like an interview where he's talked about something, and he says that he doesn't train outside of when he has a fight.
Hmm.
He said he's never done it. He's lazy. He knows it, and he's never trained outside of when he has a fight announced. He only has done training in fight camps, which is like
Interesting.
one of the most absurd things I've ever heard in my
Yeah,
life.
that doesn't. Yeah, that doesn't. Yeah, that doesn't seem conducive to success.
No, that's a terrible idea, right? Like
Yeah.
it just goes to maybe the dude is just he's so talented as a kickboxer, but think about it, it actually makes a lot of sense. Like, how is his kickboxing so good, right? And striking is so good, but then his ground game against Ngannou was just terrible, right? And it's like the
Yeah.
guy he doesn't practice. He doesn't practice it. He's just
Do
an
you
insane
think that,
striker.
I will say I'm interested to see how John is gonna do with wrestling somebody that is so much naturally larger than him.
Uh-huh.
You know that
Well,
I do think, like, in terms, like you're saying, in terms of skill set, wrestling, grappling, dude, John Jones top of the food chain. Like, there's no way Cyril Gahn's skill set in that department is comparable even.
right.
But I do wonder though if there's gonna be any difference in terms of like that natural heavyweight,
Right.
like that, just that size, because
I
I'm excited to see that one and see how John handles it, and excited to see how he looks at heavyweight, like I've seen some of these teaser pictures and he looks big,
yeah,
so I'm interested to see what his style too at that size.
the thing about longer guy like Jones for 205, he was like big, but he was kind of still like a little lanky, right?
Yeah,
Like
more
with
that
how
lanky
long
style.
he's been
He wasn't like
training,
Santos,
he-
Thiago Santos.
he'll
Brickhouse.
come in and he'll be the bigger guy. Like he will be bigger than Gon, in my opinion. Like, just with how much like the training and weight he's been putting on, everything.
He has a longer reach. I'm looking at the stat sheet
Yeah.
right now, so they actually are the same height.
Yeah, they're the same height.
6'3", and John Jones has an 84.5-inch reach, where Cyril Gahn only has an 81
Yeah.
inch reach. So there's actually a 3.5-inch reach advantage for John Jones in that fight. Which, until I just
Jones will
checked
be the
this, I
bigger
did
guy
not
here.
know.
And I mean, in my opinion, Jones goes out there, he probably strikes with him for a little bit, right? And then he's gonna take him down and just wrestle him to death, is what I'm thinking.
I could definitely see that as well. Elbows too.
Yeah,
A lot of elbows and like
those classic
unconventional
Jones elbows.
non-kickbox striking.
Mhm.
I think Cyril Gahn will probably try to get as much of a kickboxing match out of it as he can. But I think that with the spins and the dip elbows and just these unconventional leg kicks that John Jones does a lot of the time, I think it could definitely be like, if Cyril Gahn, like you said, if he's not training outside of it and he's not coming in with like a crazy game plan,
Right.
I think it'll show. We'll see that within the first round.
Yeah.
We'll be like, all right, Viss called it.
Yeah, I think you will see Jones win the belt, and then we'll give it like a year or two, and then you're gonna see Jones in the headlines for something else crazy that he's done.
after the restore to glory, he
Yep.
goes back to his natural habitat.
I'm telling you,
I did
dude,
see some
it's gonna
crazy
happen.
story he tweeted about the other day. Apparently, like at his house in Zona, a freaking bobcat like broke into his kitchen, and like him and
my
his
God.
daughter and a bobcat got into like a stare down, and then like I guess
The
somehow
Bobcat.
the bob decided to just run out of there.
The
So,
Bobcat,
like,
Bobcat fucking broke in and was like, "Holy shit! Wait, this is
fuck is
John,
John
Jones. Get out, bro! I came to the
I've
wrong
seen-
house. Holy shit!"
Yeah, not to mention, I've seen some videos of John Jones. I think he's got like a German Shepherd that's trained to pretty much be a fucking bobcat, and I know he's real tactile with like firearms training and other things too. So like,
Yeah.
not only his natural skill set with his hands and feet, like there's even the bobcat got too fucking scared to be in that house,
Right.
let alone a criminal or something.
Mhm.
But there's actually that's going to be a great fight card, because when you look at it too, like, so you got Shavkat Rakhmonov fighting, who is essentially the Khabib, the non-mainstream Khabib,
Right.
like he is disgustingly good at what he does. Great grappler, wrestler, and just like stopping everybody in their tracks, you know, in just a matter of minutes. He fights Jeff Neal, so that should be good. And then you got Bo Nickel.
Yep,
Coming
Bo
into
Nickel,
the mix there that night,
the
fighting.
wrestler.
And we'll see
Coming off the
what he can
Contender
do
Series.
against a you know, definitely not a great opponent. I mean, Jamie Pickett is, you know, not fantastic. He's, you know, only won 2 out of his last 5, coming off a couple finishes. So he's big though. So it'll be interesting to see how Bo Nickel can handle somebody that's a little bit taller, a little bit longer reach, and it'll be nice to just see. I think Bo Nickel get some rounds in the octagon for everybody, because, you know, I know everyone's talking about him too over the past couple of weeks.
Yep.
Actually, too, I see Ian Gary even fights on that fight card, and Dan Hooker was supposed to fight, but his freaking hand broke, I guess. I saw that in the crowd. So I think Jalen Turner is actually going to end up fighting Matus Gamrot. That was the new announcement. So that actually could be an interesting fight too.
Yeah, and then
that'll be a fun one, 285.
Yeah, Bo, he's got that like up and coming. This is just like a tune-up fight for him. UFC's gonna try to build him and see what they can do with him.
Exactly, and he, you know, yeah, it'll be interesting to see how he incorporates that like crazy, incredible wrestling talent into like the actual UFC competition. You know, because we've seen him beat up everybody on the regional scene. We've seen him beat up the guys on the Contender Series. You know, like it just makes quite quick work of these guys. So it'll be interesting to see once he gets in there and starts getting on the pay-per-views on these main cards and stuff, and how he handles it. So I think that he has that no problem, but I'm just excited to kind of see him come into himself as a fighter a little bit and to see how it goes. And yeah, maybe, who knows, maybe he can be the guy who in a year's time gets a title shot against Pereira if he maintains it and, you know, beats him or whatever. But it'll be interesting to see that.
Yeah, it will be. So, you know, final question on this UFC 285 card. Real quick. Is there any chance at all that Alexa Grasso beats Shevchenko?
I don't know. You know, I don't think so. I don't think so. But, like, Valentina's last fight, which was, if I remember correctly, was against Talia Santos, right? Like, that was a debatable one. I think some people thought that, you know, maybe Talia had done enough round per round. I mean, when you look at the stats, like, it looks like a landslide to Shevchenko. But, you know, I don't know. Some people are thinking that Shevchenko is maybe on the way out.
Yeah.
You know, and is just kind of getting some tuners, and that's why she's not taking these fights, maybe the rematch against Nunez or, you know, something like that. But I don't think that Alexa Grasso has a chance against Valentina. But I guess you never know.
I'm right there with you. I don't think it's gonna happen. But
yeah, because she lost to Carla Esparza, and she lost to Suarez too. So she's losing to people that I'm pretty sure that Shevchenko has beaten or would easily beat. So yeah, I don't see how she could get it done there. No way.
Right. The merch is up on the shop, along with the Way Better t-shirts. If you need to let them know that you're just simply way better out here, boom. Got those up there. We got shirts, we got hoodies, we got hats, we got everything. All right? There's literally everything on the shop.